Okay, my interview today is with Otto Boschet, production assistant for WELT. How are you, Otto?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good. Thanks for allowing me to interview you.
Thanks for asking me.
So, let's start off with, how do you operate as a production assistant for WELT?
Well, as a production assistant, I help with training into the control rooms and also do training in with Access Fort Wayne.
Okay. But you wear many more hats than that for WELT.
Correct.
Can you share some of that?
Well, I get to work with great people and sharing ideas, help with storyboarding, and having people able to get their ideas presented out to the public.
You help problem solve. You help troubleshoot. There's many more hats. I think you're being very, how do you say? You're minimizing your what you do, but you do a whole heck of a lot more than what you just shared, and I'm grateful for that. Did you have any experiences with radio before coming to WELT?
Yeah, I started in high school, actually between my 8th grade year and my freshman year. In the summer, we had a high school radio station in Columbia City High School, and that was WJHS 91.5 FM. You're still currently on the air.
Were you a DJ?
I was a student DJ. One of my mentors, Bob Thomas, was the teacher there that managed that system of programming and music. And then the second 2 years, we had Tim Moriarty. When Bob retired, Tim Moriarty is now with the Fort Wayne Community Schools with their TV channel.
Oh, cool. Now, when did you come on board with WELT? You were here from the conception.
Well, the conception that when I was involved was back, there was even talks of it in 1999.
Oh, wow.
With our friend Eric Mulberg. We started having meetings when the FCC decided to open up the license, so we could have community involvement in creating the station. And the meetings continued through the first round of license grants. There was several here in Fort Wayne, and one was granted. But it wasn't us. There was still frequency open out there, and there was lots of writing to the FCC and the commissioners to have another round of frequencies allowed to be low power FMs. And 10 years or so later, WELT was granted their license along with a New Haven station. So it was working together with them to make sure we didn't just have one license granted. We was able to work around the frequency grid and get 2 licenses.
Otto, what does WELT mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, those 2 roles overlap.
Okay.
So it is personal and professionally. To me, it's interweaved together. This community station is, the bigger picture is, it's to help serve the community of sharing cultures, to brighten cultural engagement with all the community of Allen County. It's also a service that's not being provided by any other radio station, either by music genres, programming, events, and it gives access to people to get their message out. It's another form of the First Amendment right for democracy, to be out, freedom of speech. There's low power FM stations out there that are the only ones on the air in a disaster. They have volunteers go out and make sure their generators are working, or in times of fires in California, the only communication was out there in one community was their low power FM station giving out information to evacuate, because the other broadcast stations, something went down. Either they didn't have the generators or the staffing that wanted wanted to stick around, and they evacuated. In the Virgin Islands, I talked to a lady up in Grand Rapids doing a presentation, and they had 2 hurricanes get hit that wiped their station off, and it was their community that worked to get that back together to get information that none of the other stations were able to do.
That's cool. So there is, I see the overlap with the personal and the professional. Can I ask you this? What has been most surprising or refreshing with this journey of WELT?
It's the people that I meet, and we have so many great volunteers and DJs and programmers here that keep coming back, and they don't do it for money. They don't do it for fame. They do it because it means something to be part of their community, to give back to the community, something that is from the heart. It's very wonderful and that's why I'm still here, because working with these great people.
What has been the most challenging part of being a part of WELT or community radio?
The most challenging part is having enough time in a day or a week. You get through a week and it's like, everything I accomplished this week, I wanted to get done on Monday. And then there was Tuesday through Friday, and I find myself, I'll come in on a day off just to make sure I can do a couple things and be hidden and get things accomplished.
That's dedication, man. That is really dedication. Very nice.
But you never know when a piece of equipment that just may need to be reset, because everything's going software based. It's not just hardware, and everything just has to have some eyes on it to make sure it runs smoothly, so there's no disaster.
Nice. That's nice. What is your future vision for yourself with the WELT? What's your vision for the future?
Well, my vision for the future, it depends if it's short term or long term. And short term, I see working with our new station manager on some upgrades of the studios that will make things more efficient. It will not just make staff time more efficient, but it should help our DJs so they don't have to spend so much time reporting our music software. It'd be more automated. I think for longer term, it will be that discussion with our DJs, programmers, and the community to see where we're going. Because my vision of long term has to have that two-way communication. And it goes back to, sometimes that's something you forget about, that two-way communication. One of Eric's friends actually said it better, and it's a story that's on YouTube, and we found it here. Let's play it for you.
So I'm going to tell you just a short story about a really embarrassing discovery I had once in not asking people what they need. It was shortly after Nelson Mandela was elected, and he invited a team of people to Cape Town, actually we're in Malawi, which is a little country north of South Africa, to design community media centers to jumpstart democracy in some of these townships. And there's no electricity. These are villages that look like they've been there for 1,000 years, and things haven't really changed much. So we all thought we were pretty, hot shots. We went into this planning session and we came up with satellite, downlink capabilities. We were going to use grass huts with solar-powered roofs. We were going to use some wireless connectivity for the internet. We were going to have low-power radio, and this was all going to be available, subsidized by the government, to put in these small villages to jumpstart, democracy, economic development, and these kind of things. So we had big plans, and we walked about an hour and a half into a little village that Mandela had a cousin in. So there's I guess a lot of politics are the same, so we're doing his cousin's neighborhood first. And we explained to the village chief and his two assistants, we're going to bring this solar-powered hut, and we're going to bring the satellite signal down for television, and we're going to microwave internet in, and we're going to have low-power FM. What do you think? And There's a nice pause because in their culture there's a gap between words, unlike our radio talk show mentality here. But there's a pause, and he learned his English from the Brits, and so he said, "That's all very interesting, but what we really would like is a bell." And we kind of looked at each other. He said, "A bell on a tall pole. You ring it one time, and we gather in the middle of the village. You ring it 2 times, and the well is dry. You ring it 3 times, and the storms are coming." And we're like, "Oh, what idiots we are. We didn't ask them." We had the answers, we had the technology, we had it all figured out. We're like, "We can do bells. We can do bells. Yeah. All right, we can do that." And then, not to patronize me,
Dirk, to lean back a little bit, it's like, "We'll bring you bells." So that's just a story of you have to listen to the community of what their true need is.
That's good. Okay, and this is the final question. In a sentence or 2, or as succinctly as you can, tell me, what does community radio mean to you?
Community radio for me is here to entertain, educate, and inform in ways that a commercial station cannot do. Low-power stations in communities around the country are giving opportunities for the community to listen, be involved, and be heard.
And that was production assistant of WELT, Otto Boschet. Thanks, Otto.
Thank you.